Hello and welcome to another episode of Brewery Towns, the podcast that talks about brewing beer throughout the country. In this episode, we head to the industrial hub of Wheeling, West Virginia, about an hour outside of Pittsburgh. We will discuss its extremely rich brewing history and also the modern scene that is evolving within the last decade in town. As always, like us on Facebook and Instagram to keep up with our latest episodes. And now, another episode of Brewery Towns. Welcome to another episode of Brewery Towns, the podcast that talks about brewing beer throughout the country. My name is Matt, and I am joined here today by another Matt.
Hello.
Hey,
it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
You know, I always say Matt is the name of the century.
It really is. I feel like I know more Matts than any other person.
Now, did you watch that Love is Blind on Netflix?
No, I absolutely refuse to watch that.
Well, I just watched it with Jackie.
Did you watch it? Was it good?
Yeah, I watched it with Jackie, and it's kind of like the Bachelor or Bachelorette setup.
Yeah, I don't know if I can get behind that.
Yeah, well, I bring it up because the one guy went by Barnett, and we all thought that was his first name, but then when they got married, his real name's Matt. And I was like, Jackie, like, all Matts go by their last name. Like,
it's really true, because there's just too many.
Yeah, and she was like, oh, I never thought of that, but, like, she went through her friends that are named Matt, and, like, they all go by their last name.
I kind of like the name Barnett. That's kind of a...
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like new agey.
Well, it's...
like Brylan, Kyler,
yeah.
Bartlett.
I don't even want to get into all the names. Did you see that two babies are now... Two twins that were born are named Corona and COVID?
Oh my God.
Terrible.
Shut up.
I know.
Oh my God, I can't stand you.
I know. Okay.
Corona and COVID. Okay, all right, whatever.
Let's get back to the episode.
Yeah,
okay.
Let's talk about some beer.
So we're gonna... Oh, I never asked where you're calling in from.
Oh, I am calling in from the beautiful neighborhood of Morningside in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh.
It actually is beautiful today. Mostly that's like a facetious comment, but it's actually pretty nice here today.
Well, the episode that we're doing is not too far from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
We are going to head, I believe it is west. We are going to head to the city of Wheeling, West Virginia.
Oh, yeah, like southwest.
Mm-hmm. And about how far would you say outside?
West by southwest. Honestly, I love Pittsburgh to death. Like, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it is awfully close to West Virginia, which can be frightening sometimes. All love to West Virginia though. Wheeling's probably like 45 minutes. It's like it's under an hour. Like, it's really not that far.
Okay.
Maybe an hour.
Okay. Yeah, not too bad. So it is an hour from Pittsburgh. It is literally like on the border. Like, if you look at a map, West Virginia has that. I don't know how they got this land, but they have that little sliver between Ohio and Pennsylvania.
It's an odd shape.
Yeah.
I think the only reason I know about Wheeling is because, like, when you're going west, like anywhere, like if I were to drive from Pittsburgh to like Chicago, to go anywhere west, you like go through Wheeling. Because, like you said, there's, like, that weird... Like, you're always in West Virginia for, like, 20 minutes when you go to Ohio.
Yeah, really bizarre.
Beautiful town, though.
Yeah,
I've driven through many times. Never stopped, though.
Yeah, me either, but after
Maybe
this...
after today I'll have to, though.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe after you let me know all the good stuff about Wheeling beer, I'll have to just stop next time.
It's a pretty small city. It's only about 25,000 people that live there. And
that is really small.
And in the metro, it's only about 150. So the whole area out there seems pretty rural.
The Panhandle.
The Panhandle, yes. The nickname of Wheeling is the Friendly City. No one really knows. Yeah. No one really knows how this came out, but a reason that someone put out there was that they all were coal miners in the area, and so they were all friendly to each other. But not to, like, visitors, because they were all, like, in the same boat.
Like team mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So, Friendly City. And then we always like to do someone who was born there or who lived there at a certain time. And I think you'll enjoy this one coming from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Wheeling is hometown to Bill Mazeroski.
Oh, the Pirates player, old baseball player.
Yep. And
that's a pretty good one.
Old Pirates player, and he is famous because he is the only person to hit a walk-off Game 7 home run in the World Series.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I knew he was famous, but I didn't know that. Okay, that's good to know. I feel like as a Pittsburgh person, I should know that.
Yeah. Now, next time you talk to someone when the bars open again, you can put that fact out there.
If they ever open again, then I'm gonna definitely drop that knowledge. Okay, that's good to know. That's a good person.
Okay, so let's go back a couple thousand years. Native Americans were inhabiting this area since before Jesus' time, we'll say.
Sure.
Wheeling actually comes from a word from the Lenni Lenape. I think that's how you say it, Lenni Lenape.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
It comes from a Lenni Lenape phrase that means place of the skull.
Oh.
So this word is...
Oh, that's like way... That is not what I was expecting.
No,
okay.
yeah. So this word is Weelunk, Weelunk, and it was named for the place of the skull because this tribe displayed severed heads at the confluence of the Ohio River and the Wheeling Creek.
Talk about the friendly city.
I know, really bizarre, isn't it?
Wow, what an image change Wheeling has gone through.
Really bizarre.
That's interesting.
And while we're talking about Weelunk, a lot of this information came from the Ohio County Public Library's website and this website called weelunk.com, which is just about West Virginia news and events and stuff like that.
Is Ohio County the county that Wheeling is in?
I don't have it written down, but I would imagine.
Okay.
So the white man came in 1806, and Ebenezer Zane was the first establisher, and Wheeling was actually named Zanesburg in the beginning. You'll see that with a lot of towns.
Yeah, that's like such a thing.
So Zanesburg became a transportation hub. The railroad came by, and then the National Road. This was a major stop on the National Road, which was the first like trans-Appalachian road in the 1800s.
Oh, okay.
And then...
So Wheeling had some chops. Wheeling is on the map, as they say.
And because of that, it became an industrial center, and it was actually the first capital of West Virginia.
Oh, get out.
Yeah, I know. I would have never guessed.
I honestly don't know what the capital of West Virginia is. You could tell me it was Wheeling now, and I believe you.
I didn't know either, but it is Charleston, West Virginia. I've never even heard of that. Like,
sure, why not? Of course it is.
Mrs. McDonough would be so disappointed in that.
yeah, 5th grade did as well.
Okay, so let's talk about the breweries. In the 1800s, Wheeling was actually home to 20 plus breweries, so we're not going to talk about all of them, but we'll kind of hit on the highlights. So let's start. The first brewery in town was called Smith Brewery because the owner was George Smith. It was founded in 1812, which is really, really early.
Yeah.
And that's all we know about that brewery. We just know it was the first one.
That was just the first one, laying the groundwork.
Yep. And then, so this is the big one. If you Google Wheeling historical breweries, this is the one that's going to be coming up. It was originally called Franklin Brewing Company, founded in the 1840s. And the owners were Peter Paul Beck. That's one person. Peter Paul Beck.
That's one. I was going to say, I'm like, wait. It's like the Partridge Family, like Peter Paul Beck.
Right.
Peter Paul, Becky Marshall.
So okay. Peter Paul Beck and then George Reymann.
Basically, that's a better name.
Yeah,
sorry, Peter Paul.
I do like George Reymann. So they reorganized in 1863. Beck quit because of health reasons, so George Reymann became the sole owner, and he named the brewing company Reymann Brewing Company at that time.
Okay. I'm sensing a theme here, like the Zanesburg, Smith Brewing. They're just really taking it literal here.
It's really terrible. All these old breweries are really just named after the owner.
Right, and it's funny too because like in modern like beer culture, like we're so used to like a culture of like creativity. You know, like the naming of the beer and like the labeling and like the artwork and like everything is very like, you know, like hip and like creative and fun. So it's interesting to see how this is how they're going about this. But I'm with you. George Reymann.
Now I do have a reason for that. So George Reymann's son Anton was a big public figure, and he was partners in a railroad company, parks, the state fair, fire insurance, banks in the area. So I think
this guy was doing it all.
Yeah, and he's actually, I didn't know this existed, he's a member of the Wheeling Hall of Fame.
There's a get out of town. Okay, I see you, girl. Go ahead.
So I think when you a lot of these owners were big players in the city, so I think if you attached your name to the brewery, it probably gave you more recognition.
Right. It's like a billboard for your fam.
Yeah. Yeah, so Anton was kind of running the brewery at that time, and it became the state's largest during the Civil War here.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So another brewery, I really like this name. It goes against everything that we just said. It was called Nail City Brewery.
See, I like that, and that's a thing. You want to know? Like, you know that? Isn't there the hockey team there? I don't know how.
The Wheeling Nailers, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the hockey team. Okay, so Nail City. Well, okay. Nail City.
They must have, it's like Pittsburgh the Steelers,
Right.
And the Nailers are what, the affiliate of the Penguins.
All right, sure. Yeah, okay. I believe you.
I would fact check that.
Okay, yeah. Maybe we'll look that up later. But I believe it. It's close.
Yeah. Okay. So the owner of Nail City Brewery was Friedrich Ziegler, definitely German.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
And he ran it for the first couple decades until a man named Henry Schlombach.
also definitely not German. Schlombach.
So he was a partner in banks too, and steel and iron companies in the city, and he actually built the first incline going up the mountain.
Get the first incline, like, period, or the first incline?
No, in the city. Yeah, in the city.
Okay. Okay. I was like, whoa. Okay, Wheeling, go off.
So he named the brewery after himself.
Sure.
So no more name.
Will do.
So got rid of the creative name, and then he actually changed the location to make it next to the state's largest ice plant. Because you needed to cool your beer if you were going to make lagers, which I'm assuming the Germans made.
Cold filtered, cold lagered.
Right. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay, this making sense. I'm following.
Okay, so let's go to the next brewery, Eagle Ale Brewery.
Oh, that's a good name, Eagle Ale.
I do like that one too. Founded in the 1860s, they were the only brewery in the state that were making exclusively ales.
Right, because you were saying the Germans making these lagers.
So they were making ales, and then if you go to Wheeling, the Eagle Ale Brewery was actually on the site of present-day parking lot for the Wheeling Civic Center.
Oh,
so,
good.
Just a fun fact there for all you Wheeling fans.
Good for them. It really made it happen. Okay, Eagle Ale. Okay, so they had like a niche, so I kind of like that. You know, like they're doing a little different thing, which I'm here for.
I mean, if you're thinking that this city was never very popular, maybe like 20,000, and they had 20 plus breweries, so you had to.
That's so many.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you had to carve out your niche.
So just a little town like Wheeling.
Yeah, who knew?
See, that's interesting too. That it's always been small. Because like Pittsburgh is pretty small as far as a city goes, but like used to be huge. Like Pittsburgh used to be like 3 times the size.
Really?
Relative. Well, Pittsburgh at one point was like the 6th biggest city in the country.
Wow, that's crazy.
Like, and that's not like before we went west. Like that. Like this was the fully functioning United States of America going on. But yeah, because that's where all the jobs. All the steel and.
So
that's interesting. That's always been small.
Well, we'll have to edit this out because I'm on the Wikipedia page, and it actually peaked in the 1930s and 40s at 60,000.
But still not that big. Still pretty small.
Yeah. It kind of makes it sad because now they're at less than half their population that they were at. So,
right.
If all the steel mills shut down, like in Pittsburgh, people probably went elsewhere.
Probably. And like mining, mining, you know what I mean? Like that's why I won't go into it.
Okay.
Love West Virginia. It's my favorite. Wild and wonderful.
Okay, next brewery, Balzar Brewery, named after
How do you
Morris.
Spell that?
Balzar.
Balzar. Okay.
Named after Morris Balzar.
Well, here we go again.
Founded in the 1870s, and Morris Balzar actually worked at Smith Brewery, which is the first one that was founded.
Right.
So this was in the 1870s, so the Smith Brewery had to remain open for at least like 50 years for this guy to work there.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is a really cool story. It starts kind of grim, but Morris died in 1887, and at that time, his wife, Catherine, took control of the brewery because
a lady run Interesting. I like that.
Because the son was too young at the time. So when the brewers were done making all the beer, Catherine actually made them clean her house as well.
Hell yeah. So she was like a boss bitch.
Yep.
She was like, not only are you going to make my booze, but you're going to wipe my windows.
You're going to clean my house.
Vacuum my floor. I like that. I like that out of her.
So when her son Henry came of age, he became the owner of the brewery, and he actually changed the name to K. Balzar Brewery in recognition of his mother.
Oh, how great.
I know.
He was raised right. Right.
Yeah,
but he was like the beer heir apparent.
Yeah.
How cool. Like, could you imagine, like, being, like a 10-year-old and they're going to be like, hey, when you grow up, like, you're going to run this brewery and just be the man. That sounds great.
And, like, good for him for not naming it after himself like all these other
Right? He had, like, some humility.
Yeah.
That's some couth.
Okay, so the last one we're going to talk about before Prohibition is Benwood Brewing Company.
Bend? Like a bend in the road, or Ben as in, like, Benjamin? As in
Benjamin.
Okay.
And it was founded in 1906, so pretty late in the game here. And it was located in Benwood, West Virginia, which is about 10 minutes out of town. But
okay, so like neighboring little.
And I just wanted to mention this because they made a beer called Cream Top.
Cream Top?
Yeah, it's really
Sorry,
bad.
what did you call me?
Really bad. So the name wasn't good, but they had some good advertising schemes. So on the corks that they had in their bottles, each one was imprinted with a certain letter, and when the customer could spell out the company name, with the Benwood Brewing Company with all the letters, they received a $40 gift certificate.
Oh, that's great.
I am.
Whoever's doing their marketing knew what was up.
They should do that now. I think that sounds fascinating.
They should. It's like a punch card.
Yeah.
And then it's like get your 10th hoagie free.
Yeah, exactly. And they also did like a kind of like a Willy Wonka thing. They put $5 gold pieces in random bottles of another one of their beers.
Genius.
I know.
Okay. But I'm assuming they didn't last very long.
Unfortunately, they closed in 1913, only 7 years after opening.
Oh, bummer.
So
when you think about like lives of breweries, that's actually not that bad. Like, for modern terms, like, I feel like I've definitely been to breweries I liked a lot that weren't around for more than, 5 years.
Absolutely, and I think they may have closed because Prohibition hit the next year. But even if they didn't close, they were going to close. So, the Yost Law was passed in 1914, and this prohibited the sale and manufacture of alcohol in West Virginia.
Bummer. I'm surprised those miners let that shit happen.
I know.
I'm surprised they weren't like in the streets being like, you know what, this job sucks. Like, I'm drinking.
We just did a Kalamazoo, Michigan episode.
Good beer town, Kalamazoo.
And early on in the 1850s, they tried to pass Prohibition in the state, and it actually passed. But then the judge in Kalamazoo didn't allow it in his county.
No. He was like, you know what, they can do their thing.
Yeah.
Us girls are going to sit here and get our drink on.
Okay, so all the breweries that were open at that time closed. Reymann, if you remember way back, George and Anton Reymann, they reorganized. They became the Reymann Packing Company.
Okay, so they diversified.
That's a good word. And they were actually on their third generation. Anton's son, Paul, was in charge of the facilities now, and they never went back to brewing. They just kept with the packing company. Even after Prohibition.
That's like so sad.
I know. Prohibition, I mean, if you watch the documentary that Ken Burns did, I mean, it's just like super depressing.
Yeah. And I feel like that's akin to like seeing your friend who like wanted to be like a rock star, like give up music to sell car insurance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, God damn it. It's like, everything good have to like now be boring.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like what's happening now with the virus. Businesses are going to have to change if they're going to want to stay in the game, and it's no fault to their own, just like Prohibition was.
Really, just got to stay alive.
Yeah,
get that paycheck, put food on the table. I get it.
Now, a fun fact came from the Reymann Packing Company. The old cellars that were used to keep the beer cold were actually considered for use as an air raid shelter during World War II.
Oh, that's okay. So they're diversifying too.
However, if you think about it, Wheeling is not even on the coast. And to get to Wheeling, you would have to pass New York, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, D.C., Baltimore.
Yeah, like why would you?
Yeah.
Why would you go there? Why would you hit that place?
I mean, good for them for thinking that they were important enough, I guess. I don't know.
Right, yeah. Like, give yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah.
Build your bunk.
Yeah. Okay, so that is all we're going to talk about with historical breweries. So now we're going to transition to modern breweries.
Okay, today, what's happening now?
Okay, so the modern craft beer scene actually came to Wheeling pretty early. The first brewery that was founded was in 1995, and it was called Nail City Brew Pub.
See, okay, like a little homage to... Did they do that on purpose, or do we think
I hope so.
I would hope so.
I love that
if
name.
You were just like, what, Nail City?
Now, Nail City was actually an interesting project from John Hickenlooper. Do you know who he is?
John? That name sounds really familiar, but I feel like I know it from like a baseball player again.
So
was there like a Brady Hickenlooper or something like that?
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of it.
Yes,
I'll have to look
I can't put my finger on it, but okay. Well, so this Hickenlooper guy, what's his story?
So what's he all about? He's a politician from Colorado, and he started Wynkoop Brewing Company in 1988, which was one of the first of these craft breweries, and he is often said to be like the father of the craft brew pub.
In America?
In the country. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh, so West Virginia was like up in there.
Well, yeah, it's interesting that he picked Wheeling, coming from Denver.
Yeah.
I couldn't
really... Right, because Denver's like a hotbed for this kind of thing.
Yeah, I couldn't really find any connection there, but...
That's weird.
I know.
Maybe he was just like, like, he seems like the kind of guy, he's like this creative trailblazer kind of, doing this thing. Maybe in the way that, like, places like Pittsburgh and Portland and like Milwaukee are like cool now. Like maybe I'm patting myself on the back because I live in Pittsburgh, but like you know what I mean. Like he was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the most random place because like that's cool to do. Like, and I'm gonna go to Wheeling, or maybe it was a tax sham. I don't know.
Either way, it didn't last. Unfortunately, they had to close. They had to close in 1999, so only 4 years. And we see that a lot with these breweries that opened in the 1990s. A lot of people say they were ahead of their time.
Right. That's so true. I definitely know some small craft breweries that like were the bee's knees, like were the shit, and like now they kind of have just like faded into obscurity because, like you said, they're like just there a little too early. But they like set the stage, so you gotta give them some credit.
Absolutely. If it wasn't for them, we'd still be drinking Bud Light.
I'd still be drinking Iron City Light out of gold cans. I may or may not be doing that right now. I'm not gonna say one thing or the other about that.
That's the beauty of podcasts. No one can tell.
No one has to know.
Okay, so Wheeling didn't get its next brewery for another 15 years. In 2000,
I know. At all? So they had none.
None. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
So in 2014, the Wheeling Brewing Company was created.
Okay. It was WBC.
Yep. It was founded. Excuse me. It was founded by a couple named Chad and Angie Hill.
Chad and Angie.
They got a little place in the historic Central Market District. And they set up shop.
Sounds cute.
If you Google this, I mean, it looks like your classic like tap room. Very cozy, right off like a place that people would walk by. I would definitely stop there. Like I was thinking of stopping there on the way out of Pittsburgh last year, but they don't allow dogs.
Oh,
I know.
Lame.
But it still looks cool, and they have food. So if you guys ever want to get a little vacation,
yeah.
And if you go there, try Old Raymond's Amber Ale, 3.0 or 3.40 on Untapped.
Is that a throwback to Raymond, the Raymonds?
Yep. Yes,
people?
It is. Yes, it is.
Oh, look at them doing their little history. Look, I like that.
I like that. I always try to find the beer that they do that, because a lot of breweries, it gets people's attention when you name a beer.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll have like a historical allusion, some might call.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so I thought that was the only brewery in the city, but then when I did a little bit more research, I found this place called Brew Keepers. And this was
like Zookeeper. Is that like a play on Zookeeper?
I have no idea. No, it's
Okay.
this place has no website. It only has a
Okay.
Facebook page. It is active. The Facebook page is active. But this Brew Keepers was founded in 2018, and it's located. If you look on Google Maps, it looks like it's in like literally the same building as the Wheeling Brewing Company.
Huh.
So I'm still unsure what they're doing there, but I think it's a brewery. So I thought I'd put that out there. And they do produce their own beer. And the one that I thought you would really like is the Wild and Wonderful Brown Ale, 3.66.
Oh, Wild and Wonderful. Yeah, that's right up my alley.
Mm-hmm. And oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, it sounds like I kind of am digging this kind of culture, because it sounds like less of brewery and more like brew pub, but like just the brew pub. Like, we make our beer and we have it here, and you should come and hang out, and it's a great place. But it seems like they're not, doing the, like the Founders or the Stone, or like, yeah, we have a brewer, we have a place, but we're just like a brand. We're trying to like put beer in every bar in America.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean? It sounds like this is more like, this is our thing. We like to do it. You should come hang out and enjoy it too. Yeah. Which I'm super into.
Very, very local. I wanted to ask if you've ever seen any of these beers or the breweries.
I haven't. I have not. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know that I've ever seen beer from Wheeling here, which is weird because we're kind of like the most tangential, like big, not that we're big, but like maybe a little more.
I mean, you're bigger than Charleston.
Well known.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe.
Yeah, but no, I haven't. So I guess a trip is in order.
Yeah, or once the places open up again, maybe it'll be like once you hear something or you see something, then you see it all over the place.
Right.
I forget the word for that, but
I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, once it's on your radar, you can't stop seeing it. Like, everywhere you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's hope.
I think that'd be nice too, because it'll be like, hey, once we're allowed back out, we're gonna want to do something,
right?
Do something big. You don't just want to like walk over, the next neighborhood over, like when you get a shot at this. So,
right. I think once things open up again, I feel like people are just gonna drink so much beer.
Absolutely.
And the businesses are just gonna boom.
We'll have to stop at Tudor's Biscuit World, which is my personal favorite West Virginia establishment.
I need to look into that.
Yeah, TUDOR. Yeah, Tudor's Biscuit World. It's quite something.
Well, thank you for that little tip.
No problem. Beer, biscuits, they go together. Yeast products.
That's true. That's true. Well, that is all I have for us today. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It's been so lovely to hear about Wheeling beer and have a little something to look forward to, a little trip.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hope you guys like this episode. Keep up to date with our Facebook and Instagram page for our latest episodes. Any final words from you, Matt?
Go Steelers and fuck the coronavirus. Go besides that. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And that was another episode of Brewery Towns.